Go get him, Carson. Go, Carson. Go, Carson. Go.
We're here. We're live.
Oh,
Smash that thing on the ground.
Larry's ready, man. We got a band. At least
something tells me this is going to be the most energetic episode we've ever had. So buckle up, folks.
Well, yeah, it's going to be slow and conservative, and
you might fall asleep.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Go get some coffee. Be ready to go because this is episode number 136.
I hope people on the podcast understand all the sarcasm that was just taking place. If you're on the video, you can see that it is not happening, but on the podcast, it's all sarcasm. This should sarcasm.
Yeah, we should be good. So welcome 136. We have all three, Tom, Carson, and Brandon today, and special guest. I think this is your second time on the show, Larry.
Yeah.
Larry Long Jr. And Larry looks like he's full of energy. So I think we're going to have a hell of a show today. And
got to reset my chair for this one.
That's right. You buckled in. You got your coffee. You ready to go?
I'm buckled.
So, hey, before we, Larry, get into you and your background a bit, I want to thank, as always, Brandon Fist Bump for the team there, taking care of all of this, sponsoring all of this. And I understand you have like a cool, brand new kind of executive briefing that you're making available to people. What is it? How would they get it?
Yeah, well, a lot of it's come from Mastering Modern Selling, a lot of the guests that we've had over the years. And this was really encouraged by Anthony Iannarino. I've had a few conversations with him after his last episode. And he said, Brandon, we've talked about this. Why aren't you doing an executive brief? I'm like, you're absolutely right, Anthony. I'm not the smartest guy, and it took me a while. So, yeah, we're looking at really, hey, companies who have great pipeline and they're still, not frustrated. Everything seems to be working. What are they doing differently, especially around content, than companies that are struggling? And the premise is this. Here's what I'd like to leave with everybody. It's not that you're not doing enough content. It's that your content is not creating trust. And that's a real foundation of everything. So if you're interested, you can DM me, go to my LinkedIn profile and DM me the word brief, and I can send you an 8-page PDF on it. And if you like that, it's intriguing, you're interested. I also have a 25-minute conversation, no pitch, no bullshit, no sales. It's just, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what the research, we've tapped into Gartner and several other people, other companies, and this is just what's going on. So if you're frustrated, it's not because you're not creating enough content. It's that your content is forgettable.
It's that your content is not creating trust. That's like if only somebody had a microphone, because that's like a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's one.
I love it. I love it. Boom.
Larry, how many of those do you have?
I'm a motivational speaker. You got to come prepared. I was a Boy Scout when I was younger, so
I love it. Be prepared.
Caring, Brandon.
How do you decide which color to use on any given day?
Oh goodness, it just luck of the draw. Luck of the draw.
It speaks to you. I love it. Well, I'm ready to learn how to become unstoppable.
Amen to that.
Yeah, let's jump in. So, Larry, I know this is your second time, but if you weren't here the first time, tell everybody a little bit about you and your background and what makes you unstoppable.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it bold. I'm going to keep it brilliant. And I think Brandon said I'm going to keep it brief and then I'll be gone. But Larry Long Jr., CEO, Chief Energy Officer of LLJR Enterprises. I know you won't believe this, but back in elementary, middle, and high school, I used to get sent to detention for talking. My teacher would say, Larry, shh, quiet, please. Now I get paid to serve and to speak as a motivational speaker, really focused on SaaS sales teams, SaaS sales leaders, helping them take their game wherever they are to that next level. And it really, for me, it starts with mindset, starts with your internal motivation, your priorities, and then just keeping that energy going. When I think about sales, I think it's a transfer of energy. Now, you don't have to have energy like me. I think they said the words of the great philosopher, J.J. Walker, it's dynamite, but you better have some sort of juice. So I'm excited to be back and chop it up with y'all. Happy to be back with good old TBC here on a wonderful Wednesday.
Man, I think that was the first time we've had J.J. Walker as a reference on our show.
True.
Yeah. As often as Carson brings up movies and TV shows, we haven't
gotten
J.J.
to JJ yet. So, yeah.
Yes.
We're going to unexplored terrain today, folks.
We're going to 70s TV. I got to start thinking. Or was that 80s? 70s, 80s?
Which show? J.J. Walker? That was 70s. Late 70s, I think.
Late 70s. Whew.
Right around Back to the Future time, I think.
That was BC, before Carson.
That's right. So, hey, I have a question, Larry. This isn't on our script, but Brandon, Carson, and I were meeting yesterday, and we were talking about the fact that people are still doing things in sales that they were doing in 2010, 2011. Just the same old, they just bombard you with emails and cold calls and all that kind of stuff. And they're just still doing it and expecting a different result, like it's going to work or something in this day and age. What's your take on that? And how do you kind of, with all your energy and everything that you do in your keynotes, how do you kind of get people to break out of 2014 and come to 2025?
I love it. Batter up. I love the curveball. And now you're talking my language right here. It's the definition of insanity. And there's still dinosaurs out there, but they're extinct. And for the folks that are still doing the smile and dial, let's make 2,000 calls every day. Good luck. And that's all I can say is good luck. Times are changing. Buyers are changing. So I encourage sales professionals, sales organizations. Are you changing with the times, or are you doing the same daggone thing, expecting different results and just beating your head over and over again? And if you're not changing, if you're not speaking to your clients, your prospects, your buyers, your partners, you're missing out. And there's a lot of folks that unfortunately they've got tunnel vision and they say, well, we just do this because it's the way that we've always done it. In my Steve Harvey Family Feud voice, survey says, yeah. but hey, you know what it is? Who is it? Opportunity is knocking for those that are ready to break out and say, you know what? I'm going to do things a little bit different. I think there's a saying, if it ain't broke, most people say don't fix it. I say if it ain't broke, break it, shake it, flip it upside down. And that's how we become unstoppable, because we flex with the times and we figure out how can we iterate to get better at each and every point.
I love it. We got to get out of the norm. We got to get out of the comfortable ways of mediocrity and failing. And, Larry, I got to say, I want your take on this. So I live in a world right now in tech where, there's a very conscientious effort to reduce cost of sale. Where can we leverage AI and AI agents? And so things are changing. To your point, buyers are changing as well. And, the way that they get data, the way that they need us. And, we got a lot of people that are worried about their functions being replaced, or they're worried about being laid off in this day and age. What is your advice to today's seller to maintain a peak mindset, to look for the opportunity that you and I both know is out there?
Yeah, well, first of all, you should be worried. Where a little bit of worry is not bad as long as it brings about action. Essentially, my question is, what are you doing to make sure that you don't have to worry about your job? Are you playing with and are you mastering AI? Are you bringing the human element, which AI can't replace this. Last time I looked, AI didn't have a heart. It didn't have the soul. Now it's powerful. Yeah, not yet. But I can tell you there ain't no Larry GPT that can mimic me. So I'm not scared. But I am looking for opportunities to leverage it to my benefit. So that's my question is, what are you doing? Are you just noodling and worrying without taking action? There's a lot of folks out there that talk a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, this and that, and oh, what are you doing? So that's for the professional sellers. Take action, get your game where you don't have, and the key word there is professional. For the professional seller, there's a lot of amateur sellers out there that identify as professional, but show me what you're doing. Let me see your calendar. What are you learning? Who are you meeting? What actions are you taking to leverage and be at your best? There's a lot of folks that say, I can't answer that question, Larry, and there's no mystery. What I've learned in life throughout the years, I've been around this world for 46 years, there's not many mysteries to success. And success leaves clues, and there's a lot of clues out there. You can just ask ChatGPT. It'll give you tons of clues, but you actually got to put in the work.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, let me piggyback on that, because you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of confidence. I find, especially when we're working with CEOs or sales leaders about, hey, it's not 2014, it's 2025. Content is different. If it's polished and safe, it's ignored. It's got to be more of your journey and your thoughts and more authentic. And they need to really, really, really know you. How do you get people to move into that? That's like the excuses or the reasons are, oh, that's not my personality. I'm not that way. I mean, I know for me, for years it was, well, learning business in the 80s and 90s, I was told to zip the lip unless I was confident. And it's just at very different times. How do you get people to start, getting the courage to use new muscles, getting the courage to break out of safety?
Yeah, well, you talked about courage right there. And it takes courage. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I hear it all the time. Larry, I don't like LinkedIn. Well, I tell folks, then don't do it. I'm not encouraging you to do something that you don't enjoy, but just realize if you don't do it, someone else will. And there's a lot of people that will take advantage. So it's really about the intentionality. What are you trying to accomplish, and what's your plan to get there? Yes, and that's a good plan. And how can it be a great plan? Your content today, it's very stale. It's very sterile. How about sharing your story? How about answering the questions that are going to build the trust to allow people to know you, like you, trust you, and believe in you if you're serious about it? I'll give you a quick example. My doctor for the past 6 years has been saying, Larry, you need to lose weight. I said, Doc, do you know what time it is? He said, of course, Larry, it's 1:17. I said, no, it's bow time. This fried chicken and biscuits at Bojangles has my name written all over it. Well, when he told me, if you want to see your daughter walk down that aisle, you better start losing weight, you better believe I started taking action. From October 15th to now, I'm down 32 pounds. I feel like a brand new man because I took action and because I'm committed to being there for my family. That's my why. I want to be there to see my daughter walk down that aisle. And bow time, there's no time for bow time if I want family time. So for the sellers, do you really want to hit goal? Or do you just want to sit on the sideline and complain about, oh, the environment, oh, AI, oh, my buyers aren't. I just talked to a sales leader last night, and she shared, it's been a tough 5 months. I said, what you going to do about it? What action are you taking? And it was like a deer in headlights. Ruh-roh.
People fail to see the total addressable market. And they, to your point, Larry, they get tunnel vision on the old way of doing things. They get reactive. They expect to be able to farm only instead of hunt. And they fail to look at new ways of doing things. And it reminds me, like, if I'm a doctor and I'm refusing to accept new technology and ways to do surgeries, guess what? I'm going to be left behind. The same thing is going to happen to business professionals and, frankly, sellers if we're not able to look at new ways of doing things. I literally just wowed members of my team this week, and I flew out to Chicago last week for a panel that I presented on, and it was all about how I'm leveraging technology at every part of the sales stage to be better than I've ever been before. Having a prompt to write a subject line for an email that maximizes response rate. Having a prompt that writes a message body that maximizes response rate and open rate. These types of things we can tweak. The humanity has to stay, and we have to still be ourselves, but the technology can do what it used to take me 30 minutes to an hour to research and write. I can do it in 15 seconds. And if we're not doing that, shame on us. I wowed my team this week with some prospecting emails and responses that I got to customers that they had zero relationships with. I sent hundreds of messages, booked meetings left and right with customers they've never met with. And like you, I'm 46 years old. I'm the best seller I've ever been at this stage because of how I'm adopting the tech.
Now I'm going to tip my virtual cap for you, Carson, for wowing your team. But I'm going to keep it real. Shame. Your team should already be on the bleeding edge to what's going on. Now, I commend you for sharing. Sharing is caring, but they should be coming to each other saying, guess what? Guess what I found out? They should be playing with these things to find out how can I be more efficient in order to get better results.
Model, coach, care. I never ask them to do anything that I don't know how to do, but I also think it's important for sales leaders to be leading with this culture and showing our team what we expect and how to use these technologies effectively.
So, hey, I have a general question to any of you. So do I hear everybody saying kind of the same thing, that step one is you've got to be willing and able to move out of your comfort zone as in this day and age? And if you then the next question is, well, what does that mean? But I think that's different for everybody, right? I mean, Brandon, to your point on your content about having sort of stale and not good content and generic content,
safe content,
right? To get out of that sort of area, you're going to have to move out of your comfort zone. And, you know, maybe Larry and Carson, go back to you guys on just what you were talking about. How do you do that in a way that's sustainable, right? It's great to go to a meeting and get fired up, and then you go home and it's like, I'm back to the same old thing. How do you do that to really break somebody out of that comfort zone? Because I do agree. I think this is a world of uncomfort.
I'll just share real quickly. It's the daily discipline. So I bring Monday motivation. I do my midweek, midday motivational minute on Wednesday, which is good. But people come back on Thursday and they're back to normal. I played baseball in college and we took reps ad nauseum. So how do you get out of your comfort zone? You do it with intentionality over and over and over again. Now, I'm not saying you do it alone, but having an accountability partner, having someone that you support and they support you to make sure, hey, how's it going? Make sure that on June 15th, hey, how's everything going? Which is a Sunday. I'm just checking in. How can I best support you? That would be my best advice right there. You got to get the reps in. You got to build that muscle so that you can do it continuously.
Yeah, I piggyback on that too, is personal vision, right? Like, we've got, I like it, what Johnny said here, get uncomfortable on purpose. We don't naturally do that, right? We naturally want to do safe. And I've had several conversations actually just this week too with older leaders who said, I don't want to go back and have to do some of the work that I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. I don't want to have to do it. And part of my question was, then who's going to do it? And if the answer is no one, then we got to say, what's the result? Like, where's your personal vision? What do you want for your life? What do you want for your company? What do you want to happen? And therefore, what do you need to do to get there? And Larry, to what you were saying earlier, doing the same things that you've been doing, like this leader for the last 5 months, it's been miserable. What are you going to do different? We're going to pedal faster. We're going to do more of the same and hope for different results. That's not going to help you fulfill that vision that you have. Like, so whatever it is, if it's the vision board with cars or houses or vacations or whatever, I for a long time, I wasn't a big vision board person, but I realized as I got older, like if you can't see it, you forget it. And so do you want to lead a company that's going down, or do you want to lead a company that's going up and all the fruits of it for you and your family? I mean, I think if you don't tap into that personal vision and that personal heart and how it's going to benefit you personally or hurt you personally, then it's easy just to kind of keep pushing it off on other people in our company or just blame the markets.
you've got to make a conscientious decision and commitment to a process to improve. It's the discipline factor, like Larry highlighted. There's elements that I surrounded myself in my day. I get up, do the morning workout, do things early, watch the Netflix show that I wanted to watch, or listen to my audiobook, get my head right so that I'm ready to hit the day. Then it's drowning out the noise, and it's having that list of daily non-negotiables. It's inevitable. We get sucked into these fires. We get sucked into the daily minutia, but that's where the excuses happen. That's where the victim mentality happens. You're busy all day, but you're busy doing the wrong stuff, and you're not getting the right stuff done. And frankly, I went out and I found everybody that was doing better than I was at certain things, and I wanted to learn from them. How are you doing this so that I can assimilate that into my arsenal? And then lastly, for me, it was all about going out and figuring out, what are the big problems? What are the big problems that my leadership wants to solve? What are the big problems that my customer wants to solve? I'm going to go out there and solve them. And be damned all the things that other people are doing and failing. I'm going to commit to a process that will get me these outcomes. I'm a dopamine addict. So as I started to get wins, calls, meetings booked, I was loving it. And it was just like I became this unstoppable freight train of sales success. It wasn't like that 15 years ago, but as time went by and I started having these results, it made all the difference in the world. And I ask people all the time, are you 100% satisfied with the results that you have today? Because if you're not, why in the world are you so afraid to gamble these results that you're not happy with, to commit to a better process that will deliver better outcomes?
I love what y'all shared in terms of vision. Carson, I love what you shared in terms of momentum. It sounds like you've built up so much momentum, you couldn't stop it even if you tried, because you've continued to stay on that grind and do those things that some people won't. I'll never forget this. I had a sales leader who shared there's two people in his world. He said there's one, those people that will find every excuse in terms of why they can't be successful. We all know who those folks are. The other folks say, I will have success in spite of any obstacle you put in front of me. I'm going to find a way over it. I'm going to find a way under it. I'm going to find a way around it. And if I have to, I think they said, Mama said, knock you out. I'm going to find a way all the way through it if I have to. And someone was right. I do have a bag of tricks and toys.
Yeah, Bob's really admiring your toy box there, man.
I think we should do this. Carson and Tom, you guys, like, if somebody can actually document how many props Larry will use at the end of the show, that you guys just send him a copy of your book or something.
There you go. I'll have AI create that in the summary.
That's right. It can watch the video and automatically count the number of props.
It can.
But it doesn't have a heart.
What I love, I was in these training sessions the last couple of weeks about all the things that AI agents can do. And I kiddingly asked, like, when are we going to get to the point where, I can create a video and voice replication of myself and I can go hit the golf course? I would rather have a voice and video replication of Larry. Put that guy to work. He'd be unstoppable. He's already unstoppable.
He is unstoppable.
That's right.
That's good.
So, Larry, tell us a bit about what you call the jolt effect, and what does that mean, and how does that all work, and how does that tie into what we've been talking about here?
Well, I certainly appreciate it, Tom. There's a book called The Jolt Effect. That's not me. Those are some other guys. I'm the author of Jolt. Get zapped into intentionality. Keyword there is intentionality. Rediscover and believe in your inner greatness. I published it. I started working on it right after the pandemic started. I believe that everyone's got greatness inside of them, but sometimes we lose that. I don't know if you've ever ran into a seller that just didn't have that confidence. They had a whole lot of head trash where they didn't believe that they could have success. Well, Henry Ford says it best. If you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So my book was really, the jolt is jump on life today, because tomorrow's not promised. If we don't take advantage, and I'm not a Latin scholar, but I think they say carpe diem. I had a guy who had it tattooed. He had carpe noctem tattooed on that side. I said, oh, that looks painful. But if we don't take advantage of the opportunity that's right now, that's knocking at all of our doors, we're really missing out. And who wants to miss out and live a life of regret? I think they say, and this is kind of morbid, but the place that holds the most dreams is the graveyard. Because so many people, I wish I had, I'm noodling on. No, I'm not sponsored by Nike yet, but just do it right now. Don't wait until next week. Don't wait until next month, next quarter, next year. Do it right now. You're either going to have massive success or you're going to learn a lesson that's going to help you in the future. So when I think about Jolt, I think of jumping on life today, taking advantage of the opportunity at hand. And most importantly, you got to have fun. I mean, there's so many people out there that are just too serious. I love the smile. Life is too short to be so serious. Now, I'm all about hitting goals, but I have a lot of fun when I'm hitting goals.
Nothing wrong with that.
Can you send me that wig with the microphone? I would like that wig along with the microphone.
Tom, it's not your color. I'll send you this one.
That looks better. Yeah, that looks better on me. Yeah,
is that what you looked like back in the 70s, Tom?
That was me, yeah, back in the 70s, back when I was watching, what was the show we were talking about earlier?
Good Times.
Good Times.
Good Times, yeah.
So, I like Johnny's comment here. He says, the great always practice to play like it's the winning play of the game every time.
Yeah.
I
I liked his earlier comment too. It reminded me of a soccer coach that I had. He always said, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. He used to piss me off because we had to do it over and over and over again, but he had a point.
That's right. Do it again. Let's make progress so that when the lights come on, we're now ready. I'm not Allen Iverson, but I'm going to take a moment to talk about practice. And I'm going to ask the question, how many folks out there actually practice? What I found is a lot of people are practicing at it in game time situations, and then they're wondering, why am I not having success? Well, once again, there's no mystery. Let's go ahead and turn that mirror on ourselves. And thank you for someone who talked about my camera being backwards. It's all good. But let's figure out, what am I doing? I tell my son this. He's 15 years old, wants to play soccer at a high level. I said, Trey, his name's Larry Long III, don't complain about the results you're not getting from the work you haven't done. He puts in work on those video games. He's mean on those sticks. But in terms of working on his conditioning and his ball handling, I'm like, hey, there's a reason why you're not playing, dog.
I love that. That is why I tell people that want to be excellent at sales that you have to be a student. You have to study what works, what doesn't. Spend time in reflection. At the end of my fiscal year, I tell my boss, I literally take time to consciously look back at the past year, and I diligently study what worked, what didn't. And just because it didn't doesn't mean you jettison it, you totally discard it. You might pivot it, you might tweak it a bit so that it can be more effective. But sales is relatively simple. It's all about people and process. You obsess over the people in your sphere, your customers. You serve, you support, you add value. You support your colleagues, your leadership, all those people in your sphere. You think about what matters to them. How do I deliver a win to everybody that I touch? And then it's all about process. What are the processes that will deliver the outcomes that I need to deliver? If I fell short in an outcome, I need to tweak my process there, period. It's that simple. We've got to take the emotion out of those elements. The emotional piece should be what we bring to the table in the way of humanity, authenticity, and how we make it personal to show up to serve others. And that's really what sales is all about.
So let's take a little bit. I like this question here. Unfortunately, it says LinkedIn user, so I don't know who this is from, but I think this is a really good practical question, right? We all kind of have things come up during our day that aren't expected. Maybe we planned out time to practice or to do things that were maybe out of our comfort zone. But then, hey, the day comes in, we get meetings, we get this, we get that, we get through with the day, and we didn't accomplish a lot of those things that maybe we considered optional or discretionary. How do we deal with this? And how do we stay, is to the question here, how do we stay disciplined and manage these interruptions or deal with these things, but still maintain some of these, I guess, new practices and best practices?
I had a sales leader. I'm going to give a shout out to Paul Colucci. He spoke to my team and he said, if you had a meeting with a prospect in your calendar would you let anything get in the way of that? And the answer, of course, was like, no. He said, well, why would you do that for revenue generating activities that are in your calendar? Why would you put that as a lower priority? So you said the word discipline. What does discipline mean to you and I? Of course, things are going to pop up. But the question is that really a priority? Just because you schedule a meeting on my calendar, do I need to be there, and why? Is it serving? I think I heard Brandon talk about vision. Is it serving my vision, or is it distracting me? Which most, don't get me started on meetings. Most meetings, two thumbs down. There's no purpose to them. There's no actions that come out of them. It's really, we're just meeting just to meet. But essentially, you've got to ask the question of, is my time best spent doing whatever that is, X, Y, or Z, versus what I have scheduled in my calendar, which I've identified. It's in my calendar because it's a priority, because it's urgent and it's important.
Yeah, I interviewed Megan Reed a couple of years ago, and she had a terminology that she called ruthless discipline of her schedule. And what I love about this is, look, at the end of the day, you have to be selfish with your schedule, because if you're not, trust me, nobody else will be. They're not going to care. They will plop things on your calendar. And if you have a time block, you've got to honor that time block. Now, don't get me wrong. Stuff will come in through the day. There are very few requests that trump what I have going on. If my boss or my wife reach out to me, then yeah, that's probably going to trump everything else that's going on. But other than that, you've got to very quickly decipher, is this more important than what I have going on? I have pinned chats with my leadership and my direct reports, and those are the things that I see first. I have no qualms about putting myself on do not disturb, and the other stuff can wait. And I typically will schedule, maybe you also need additional time blocks to schedule time to go in and look at some of those lesser important messages that are coming in, so that you can get to them in a timely fashion later in the day. But you've got to have ruthless discipline over your time blocks.
5 days ago in Singapore, the opening keynote was Nir Eyal, and he's got a book called Indistractable. He was talking about distraction, and folks talk about what's the opposite. It's traction. And a lot of times this other stuff that we're doing is so that we can avoid discomfort. We talked about getting out of your comfort zone. Well, as humans, it feels so comfortable. It feels so nice to be in my comfort zone. Larry, you're telling me that I need to get uncomfortable? No, I'm kicking and screaming. I'm not going. But he talked about that ruthless discipline and putting together systems that will support you in terms of what's important. If you're telling me for 30 minutes, you need to interrupt me, it can't wait 31 minutes, survey says, nah, we got a big problem, unless the house is on fire.
You know what's most uncomfortable? Failure.
No commission check, not making payroll. Yeah, you know, and it goes all the way down to, as you were saying that, Larry, like I have time blocks now of when I check email, and you were saying it. We all have systems. The question is, are you strategic with your system, or does your system own you? I learned a while ago that I became, my system was every time my email went ding, I would go look at it. I was like, you know, like Pavlov's dog. The thing would ding, and I'd go look and see what my email was. It took me a while to realize how often that came in and distracted me. So now I shut my email down. I check it not first thing in the morning, but about mid-morning, and I check it mid-afternoon, and I check it right before I shut down for the day. But other than that, I'm not checking email. And it does crack me up when somebody will message me on LinkedIn and said, I sent you an email. Did you get it? I'm like, I don't check email all day long. And what I really want to say, and I don't mean this with any disrespect to anybody else, is that your priority is not my priority. I am not in your hurry. The people on my team, the people that have the ability to say, hey, I need you to look at this fast, please, they have that. But everybody else, I can't give it to them, because then I would just be led like that my whole life.
Yeah, I shrink my bubble and I realize, look, what am I paid to do? I am paid to serve and protect this group of 12 people. So, and serve this leader. If it doesn't fit in that sphere and I'm feeling overwhelmed, I shrink my bubble mentally and I say, does it fit into this purview? That's what I need to prioritize first.
Is that
And
why
then
you don't return my text messages?
I'll move it back out. What's that?
Is that why you don't return my text messages?
Probably.
2 weeks ago, I ran an action and accountability 3-day challenge. And we had 5 solopreneurs. We turned off our phones. We pretty much turned off all notifications. And for 40 minutes, we went 20 minutes on, came back for halftime, another 20 minutes on. We were focused, ruthlessly focused on the task or tasks at hand. It was amazing how productive everyone was. They were able to get things accomplished that they had been doodling on, thinking about for months. It's amazing when you put yourself in a space, you give yourself permission to focus and take action, how much you can do, and having that support, having that accountability of folks that are also in the same boat. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you can step out of the fray and you get a balcony view. Wow, these are the things that I could do that would be game changing. That's why I need that morning like workout and reading time, because my brain is free. And that's when I come up with my daily non-negotiables. And I'd hammer those out before I get sucked into the fray. I'll get to everything eventually, but I have to get those daily non-negotiables, because that's the stuff that when I finish the day, I'm able to look back and say, I knocked that out of the park. I need this new prospect at such and such an organization. I'm going to do that first thing. And, so go on from there. But that's how you should prioritize. And it comes down to discipline.
I had an idea or something I thought of based on what we've been talking about. I'm going to start putting in my calendar. I'm going to block out time for uncomfortable things, but I'm actually going to color code it. My calendar, you can color code like the different things that are on. So that if I color code it in red or green or whatever, at least I can see over the course of the week, I've got a lot of these uncomfortable blocks in there, and I make them, to your point, kind of non-negotiable along the way. Because what I found myself doing is putting things in there, but then if something else comes along that's a little more comfortable, those can get moved out to the side. Like if I got a text from Brandon, for example, I of course would respond to that right away is something that would occur there. But it just, makes these, I think this is a really, to your guys' point, you have to like confront this every single day and look at how are you kind of going out of that out of the box and out of that comfort zone.
I learned a while ago from somebody who was one of my coaches, and you guys have heard me say, I like the terms, we all have activities that are energy gaining and we have activities that are energy draining. And it was called he called it a suck sandwich. It's like when you've got those activities that you don't really want to do that suck your energy, sandwich it between 2 energy gainers. So you can put that on your calendar. Like I'm going to do this and I'm going to build up my energy, and then I'm going to do this knowing it's probably going to bring my energy down. But when I'm done, I'm going to go back to this that's going to bring my energy back up. And I'll be honest, I haven't used it all the time, but I think about it. And there are times where I go, wait, I need to really put this in place. It's helped a lot.
I love you sharing that. And Brandon, the thing that you mentioned that I really love is that you work with a coach. The highest level right now, the NFL, the NBA and the NHL playoffs are going on. These are the best athletes in the world, and they have coaches. If we want to be the best that we can be, why do we think that we can be Superman and Superwoman and do it all by ourselves without a coach, without mentors, without people that are supporting us, that board of directors, and doing it with intentionality? When I do my keynotes, I ask people, who has a coach? It's unbelievable how many hands don't go up. I'm like, how are you living life to the fullest? And unfortunately, I hate to say this, most people aren't. Most sales professionals are not where they want to be. Ask the question, where do you really want to be? What do you really want to accomplish? A lot of people can't answer that, or they answer it with the standard kind of safe answer. They're not living a life fulfilled, which opportunity for coaching is knocking.
I'd say as an entrepreneur, and Tom, you know this, you've been there too, as an entrepreneur, and I think as a sales leader, all of us 25 plus years, if I haven't had a coach and I haven't had a therapist, I have no idea where I'd be.
Right.
True.
Let's just keep it real. My therapist is the best money. My therapists over the years and my coaches have probably been the best money I've ever spent.
And I appreciate you sharing that as well. Being that we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, which is really every month, a lot of times, just in the world, but let's say in sales, we don't even talk about getting help, which is really help. There shouldn't be a stigma around working with a therapist, having a feelings doctor to help you process and be the best that you can be. Although there still is, unfortunately, but Brandon, thank you for sharing that.
Here's something I've been challenged with is that, and we were chatting about this before we went online, is that we know, as I was talking about the executive brief we have around content, it's not that you're not producing enough content, it's your content is forgettable. And what we've learned in the early, 2010 through 2014 is that our content had to be polished and perfect. It all ran through the PR machine and it came out and it was brand approved. And now for us to be memorable, we have to be real. And it's hard for us. Like for me, Gen Xer, I'll be 55 this month. Like we were told, don't open your mouth unless you're certain. Don't fake it until you make it. All that type of stuff that we've learned, and now here we are in 2025 as business owners, as sales leaders, whatever, and we're being told you have to be real and authentic. And I do love at least that stuff with mental health is starting to get talked about more. And I'll tell you, when I really hit my wall of, about 15 years into entrepreneurship and dealing with my childhood trauma and all that crap coming out in life, the first person I talked to said, I wouldn't tell anybody about this. Nobody will do business with you ever again if they know that you're struggling with this. And I'm very, very grateful. Praise God. I looked at them and went, you've got to be kidding me. Like if I stop, I hadn't talked about this stuff with somebody for years. If I don't talk to somebody about this, it's going to get ugly. And I think it's the same thing with our content. It's the same thing with our sales. We've got to push ourselves into this authentic serving. It actually serves us well, but we're still stuck in fear and hiding behind facades of perfection and perfect or cleaned up and protected. And for me, if we get nothing else out of the show today, that conversation reminder for me was worth it.
Especially in a day of AI and automation. If you want to work with humans, you have to be human. You have to be your real authentic self. And I will say, having come up in a boiler room call center with a manager that worshiped Gordon Gekko and absolutely used my personal stuff against me, I am so grateful to work in an environment now where I feel like I am more myself than I've ever been, and I'm more successful than I've ever been. It's absolutely a path to finding the relationships, the mentors and coaches that are going to be game changing in your life. If somebody doesn't work well with you, who you really are, that's not the right culture for you. You need to gravitate toward the leaders and the cultures that are going to invest in you and see you grow and up level you. And that's what I've been really grateful to do for the last 11 years that I've been at Microsoft.
Hey, Carson, are you comfortable sharing the story you shared with Tom and I yesterday when we were chatting about sharing about your daughter and how you had a conversation with somebody who you hadn't always gotten along well with on the business side?
Yeah. So I recently, not too long ago, shared something about some personal challenges, right, with a coworker that there was some friction, there was some clear tension, and what was amazing was that after I shared this piece, they said, you know what? Wow, me too. And we started talking and collaborating on a whole new level. Since that conversation, it's like the walls have come down. There's no pretense. And, I've shared other things that I'm going through or that I've, kind of changed in my life. Sometimes you have to take the lead, right? And what I've realized, especially where I've had conflict with others, not everybody's going to like you, but also sometimes people will have a predisposition toward you for whatever reason. I think sometimes we come to the table and we judge, sometimes because of fear that we have or insecurities that we have. I know that's the case with me. I'll judge somebody and maybe say, well, they're only beating me in this metric because of whatever they're doing different or that they're not supposed to be doing or whatever. No, let's look internally. What could I be doing better as a result? And so I think sometimes we come to the table and we judge, but the best way to bring those barriers down is to like take the lead sometimes, show something that's a little bit more vulnerable or more human, and make that person feel safe to be themselves. Because let's be real, I've been doing this a long time. I've been successful. I know sometimes when I talk to people that are very successful, I get intimidated and I may not show up as my authentic self with them. So God forbid I put up this air that I'm somebody that they can't approach or that I'm not approachable. So the more approachable we can be in situations, the less friction you will have in your working relationships.
So, hey, quick question is kind of we wind down here. Maybe this would be the final topic for everybody. And we've used the word fear here, right? Hey, there's fear of, Brandon, I think you said fear, nobody will do business with me or whatever the case may be.
They're being judged.
Yeah. Yeah. And Larry, I'll start with you. What do you think are the things that we are most fearful about? And how do you kind of, start to look at those things to kind of maybe realize that those are fears that are maybe either unfounded or, certainly not realistic or not real, but more kind of fabricated? What are the types of fears that we tend to run into?
It's funny that you mentioned this. I work with my coach on my fear of the unknown and my fear of not being perfect. And goes back to my childhood. My father, rest his soul, he tried to be perfect, and no one's perfect. And when you try to be perfect, it can paralyze you to just not take action because it's like, I don't want to do this because I'm uncertain if I'm going to have success. So if I don't do it, I can't fail. And that isn't always the best attitude or approach to serve you. So it's really, I love what you said, Tom, in terms of blocking out your calendar for uncomfortable things. It's that intentionality that I'm going to proactively put myself in places, in spaces, in situations that aren't the norm. I'm going to shake it up and see what happens. That was one of my intentions this year, was to do 4 speaking engagements outside the US. I was in Canada, just in Singapore. I'm going to England in October, and I need number 4. If y'all know something, keep me in mind. But that was an intention because I realized I can put the blinders on and just be in my own little bubble if I don't get out of these United States and see different cultures, different people. So a lot of times just not knowing can cause fear.
Yeah. If I were you, I would just go find some place that would let you go speak in like Monaco or Cabo or Cancun.
Cabo,
yeah. I don't even care if they pay me. I'll just go there, right?
Larry, I got a question for you on that too, because I've been a big believer, and tell me if I should be as big a believer in it. I still believe it's not just getting clarity on what you really, really, really want, but it's also then not the accountability, like publicize it. And I've heard different sides, like, so, about putting it out there. So recently, I started telling my team, and this will be the first time I say it publicly, is that 30 years ago, I moved to Mexico for a year to learn Spanish, and I speak Spanish fairly well. But I've had a dream for a super long time to speak at an event in Spanish, like be on stage and speak Spanish. It scares the hell out of me. But I've been telling my team it, but I've only been telling my team. It's like you're kind of putting it out there, but kind of not. Like what do we do for that? Like, where's the right play of like knowing what you want, putting in a strategy to get there, but then publicizing it, committing to it?
I got to put this boy is on fire. I think one of us recognizes this book. I had to look in the archives. One of my mentors said, so many people talk about publishing a book. Oh, I'm writing a book. What he shared, and this is a shout out to Stan Phelps, he said, if you don't have a release date, and you don't have to stick with it, but you throw out a date, if you don't have a title, if you don't have cover art, and you haven't shared with everyone you know the release date, the title, the cover art, at least the draft, you're not really writing a book. You're just talking about it. So I'm going to tell you, Brandon, that's great that you told your team. It's even greater that you're now sharing it with this entire community so that we can support you and say, "Que pasa, loco? When are you going to do that speaking engagement in Mexico?" Which it's supporting you, it's holding you accountable, and it's helping you along this journey, along this adventure, and even the misadventure that we go through. So I love it.
Thank you.
I think you need to put on your LinkedIn, Brandon, and your website, bilingual presenter. I do keynotes in English and Spanish, German even if you'd like.
You and Larry should go together to present in Spanish in Cancun.
That's right. That's right.
There are worse places to go than Cancun.
That's right.
Indeed, there are. I've been to many.
All right. So, Larry, what are some final thoughts for somebody? Because it's interesting, right? I'm making notes here. It's like, man, there's a lot of shit that's
final notes for us. Like,
yeah, final notes for us. Yeah,
preach it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, my message right now is that the opportunity is out there. I encourage you to dream. No. Dream big. No. Dream bigger. I'm living my dream, and I couldn't have done it by myself. Let's keep it real. The work that I did with my coach 4 years ago, where she allowed me the space to share what I really, really want. I want to speak on big stages internationally with my family in tow, and I want to have a nice living from a revenue perspective. I'm living my dream. I pinch myself every day that I wake up because I used to get in trouble for talking. Now I get paid handsomely to serve, to speak. My wife just went with me to Singapore. My kids and whole family are going with me to Arizona. If I hadn't have dreamed big and I had just kept it safe, I would be miserable. I would be still in corporate America, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a good fit for me. It's not what I want to do. I wouldn't be living my dream. So dream bigger and realize that you can, if crazy nappy-headed Larry Long Jr. before my barber got mad at me, if I can do it, anyone can do it because y'all are a lot more brilliant and bright than I am. Believe that.
I love it.
All right. Brandon, Carson, any final questions, comments before we wrap?
I'm fired up.
Is there anything else, Larry, that comes up in your, in your keynotes or in your workshops? Any other big questions that come up that people are grappling with today? And what do you tell them?
Yeah. Hey, Larry, I hear you talking. You tell me to dream big. You tell me the sky is not the limit. We put the limit on it. But how? That's the big thing. They understand the what, but it's how. What's the first step that I take? And the first step is you've got to take some sort of action. Take one step today that you haven't done. I think I heard it from Tom. He's going to put the calendar block and color code it in terms of the discomfort, the thing that is out of his comfort zone. That's a good start. And I'll say, yes, and what's the next thing you're going to do, Tom? And when are you going to do it? I just saw someone put a post out about SMART goals, and I agree. I agree that SMART goals are dumb. That's my hot take. I love the specific. I love the measurable. I love the time bound. I hate attainable, and I hate realistic. Because if I had done SMART goals, this would have never come to fruition. I'm not as good as you are, Carson. I'm not on fire. But essentially, I set an unattainable, quote unquote, goal, an unrealistic goal. And with the right team, with the right resources and the right why, anything is possible. It really is. So I encourage people to get out of your intuitive fence. We have this fence that, oh, I can only do this. I can only hit my goal. Well, guess what? What if you could exceed your goal and exceed it drastically? Someone's doing it. Why not you? So that's the message I want to share. There's someone out there right now that has some doubts and saying, Larry, I hear you talking, but you ain't saying nothing. I can't do that. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. Now, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a lot of hard lot of hard rowing. It's going to be a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But yes, you can.
I think you got to take personal stock and inventory sometimes of your life. I did this exercise not long ago. It's called this inventory wheel of life, and it had things like career, financial abundance, health and fitness, friends and family, marriage or committed relationship, personal growth and spirituality, community service, fun and recreation, physical environment. You know, these things that, you know, they're not all going to be 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. But if you have tangible goals in each, you know, I wanted my dream girl. I wanted a greater marriage with my wife. I wanted to lean more into my faith. I wanted my kids. I wanted my dream car. I got all of those things. I wanted to be an author. I've done that. I put my release date out there and I willed it into existence. I got obsessive. Tracking out the things that you want and every day touch that goal. Do something relative to that goal every single day. Guess what? A year from now, you're going to look back and you're going to have made progress. Right now, my goal, I want to be the greatest salesman of all time. That's it. And so every day I want to do something out there that plants a seed there. Will I get there? Who knows? But it doesn't matter. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to keep up leveling, get better. The addressable market is out there. And I believe that if I keep going big and taking big swings, then one of these is going to get knocked out of the park. I've been very fortunate and blessed, but I'm a nobody from a small town in the Midwest US, population 60,000. And if I can do it, literally anybody can.
Yeah, you know what it makes me think when you're saying that too, is we were talking about doing kind of a theme month in July. Larry, I'd like for you to consider coming back and talking about the energy and the oomph and the conviction that you have, Carson. So many people in life, me included, had it going, and then something happened. Whether it's health, it's us. It was a Ponzi scheme, right? Wake up one morning and there's lots of millions gone, and it's like starting all over in my 40s. Right? How do we help people that are in a sales role that's going nowhere and they got to redo it? This was their vision. What about the entrepreneur that said, I've had my company, we've been doing it this way, it's been working the last 5 years, we're dying, and I'm at the end of my career and I need to figure this out. Like, those are hard mountains to get up and over. I know we're at the end today, but I would think, Larry, if you're open to coming back sometime and talking about that, I think that's timely right now with so many people.
And I want to tell you right now, it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I am the Rocky Balboa of sales. I've had friends die in automobile accidents. I've been fired. I've been laid off. I've had a manager my first year as an account executive tried to get rid of me because they didn't like me because I wrote books, and I had to commit to a process that was completely unorthodox, and it created results that catapulted me to a status and stature that I never would have fathomed. You know, life is going to beat you down, and it's up to you to get up and just do the next right thing in front of you as best as you can. Sometimes you literally just have to land the step that's right in front of you, and it will be hard, and often you'll have to do it alone. But if you've got the perseverance and the resilience and the grit and the tenacity and the determination to do it, you can't be stopped. That is how you become unstoppable.
I love it. And for readers out there, there's a book called 3 Feet from Gold. My coach shared this with me 4.5 years ago. So many times folks give up when they're this close. You're 3 feet from gold. Don't give up, no matter how tough it is. Like Carson said, take that next step. Just take that next step and have faith that you're going to be okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Larry. We would definitely love to have you back we're having a series that we're putting together for the summer. Yeah, July, I think. That's right, Brandon. We think
we'll figure out the right dates.
I'd be honored.
So, Larry, if people want to learn more about you and your speaking, where should they go find out?
This LinkedIn Larry. Find me on LinkedIn. You'll probably hear me before you see me, but I would love to get connected, would love to support you however best I can.
All right.
Hey, Larry, next time you come on, I'd like to ask you to have a prop or two this time.
I'm working on
We
it.
need to have a prop or two, Brandon. What we should do next time is all bring as many props as we can think of.
That's right.
We're
Put on a
gonna out-prop the prop man. Is that what we're gonna try and do?
Podcast listeners won't know what the heck we're doing.
Perfect.
Why we're laughing so much.
Yeah, hey, if you're on the podcast, this episode of any others, go over to YouTube or go to
watch
LinkedIn
the
and find it. You'll appreciate this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Larry. Oh, good. I'm glad we got one more in here.
Outstanding.
I counted 13. I counted 13 props today.
Love
So,
it.
all right, Carson, wrap us up.
All right. Want to thank everybody that joined, commented. Larry, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for bringing the energy. I was feeling down before this session, but now I feel like I could take on the world.
I'm going to go for a run as soon as we hang up here. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Until next time, everyone, happy modern selling.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.